Hello and welcome back to the Spotlight Games podcast. Today we are recapping Summer Game Fest so far. We have the Summer Game Fest showcase, we have the Xbox showcase, and a few standouts from all of the other smaller showcases that have happened in between. And to do so, we got the dumpster boy Cayman Darty. Cayman, how you doing?
Well,
Boom, boom, boom.
I just watched the Xbox showcase, so doing better than I was after watching the Summer Games Fest showcase. That's for sure.
Spoilers, and that other voice you hear, we call them cognitive clips. Jordan, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
I'm good, guys. How y'all doing?
Oh, fucking terrible. In fact, I'm
you look awful. So.
Thank you. We have a lot of video game stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel. It's Spotlight Games Pod. Or searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live, which we're not doing right now. Normally Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. So be sure to follow us there so that you're notified when we go live so you can be part of the conversation. We will be back Tuesday night. This is going live Sunday night. I think this is our first Sunday night thing we've ever done before, at least for this podcast. We've done some Sunday night Save Trash Cinemas in days past.
Sure, that's true, yeah.
But we're going to be back Tuesday night to recap the rest of Summer Game Fest. We're kind of doing the first half, first three quarters so far. So we'll be back on Tuesday to discuss that. And we'll do other housekeeping then because there's so much to discuss. We have Summer Game Fest, Xbox. We're going to start with Summer Game Fest, boys. I want to just open it up generally. How do we feel about Summer Game Fest so far? A lot of hype coming in about a lot of things, but Summer Game Fest in the past has been a bit of a hit or miss showcase, I think, as a whole. How do we feel so far? Now, 2 days in, something like that? Cayman, let's start with you.
Oh, we're 3 days in. Started Friday, so we're on day 3. Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe it's getting older. Maybe it's just the games industry as a whole right now. Starting off on Friday was a little bit of a snooze fest. I was really hoping we would have something more than what we got. Wasn't like super enthused with a lot of like what we saw. And I think kind of rolling in, Saturday was kind of a soft day, I would say. Not that there wasn't some really interesting games that were shown. Just there wasn't any like big presentation, which was kind of interesting to me that they, that we didn't get like Ubisoft or Xbox didn't take the Saturday spot. Maybe they're the thinking was like, oh, if we do it on Saturday, people won't be out. They'll be out and about. They won't be sitting at YouTube watching live.
Sure.
So maybe that's the reason. But like a little bit, it was I felt light on Saturday. And then today with the Xbox showcase, I think we rebounded.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, outside of maybe like a couple of announcements, this was a very interesting showcase where I think a lot of the things that normally in years past would be like big reveals were announced days before or leaked days before.
Sure.
There was a lot of that.
Just so much.
I think it's kind of sucked the wind out of the sails a little bit because there wasn't as many like big surprises. What we did get to see of like smaller games that we're getting like world premieres. I think there's some cool games that we got to see and some like extended looks at some games we've heard about. But honestly, I don't know. I kind of walked away being like, I don't feel like even though we were in a situation where technically Xbox did drop like the one more thing and literally said, one more, like, just fucking shut up. Just shut up. You corporate robot, shut the fuck up. Just show me the damn thing. Like, even that, we already knew was coming. Like, weeks in advance, the leaks were already coming out. So it definitely felt like a bit of a gut punch coming out of today's show. Like, Xbox's showcase being like, well, we knew all of the big surprises we knew in advance.
Yeah, there were very few big surprises.
And I think that like that's the big issue, right? Like E3, I think E3 was so great about the fact like you never knew what was going to come. So there was always an excitement where I just didn't feel very excited this year.
I don't disagree. I think To your point about the Saturday issue, I think the reason that they don't do much on Saturday is because since SGF is a media-driven thing, and Jeff invites people from all over the industry. Where's my invite, Jeff? Where's the SG invite, Jeff? Fucking SGF Spotlight Games Fest, Jeff. Where is it?
We should do it.
We actually, that's not a bad idea.
But I'm writing this down.
But I think because so many of them were playing games behind closed doors yesterday, that's probably why. But I agree with you, Cayman, that I feel like it could have had a better flow to it if today was the day that the media got to do stuff behind closed doors. And it was like a big 48-hour event. Fit Ubisoft in there somewhere yesterday, do Xbox, do all the showcases within 48 hours. Like, I feel like it would probably have a bigger hit that way. But Jordan, what's your vibe? How are you feeling about SGF so far?
Yeah, I think that honestly, Jeff did a pretty good job of tempering expectations. You know, again, as weird as it was, like, could definitely have gone the other direction and taken the win completely out of the sales. But him to be like, oh, this is for me, it's an 8 out of 10. And, you know, don't expect Kingdom Hearts 4 and don't expect blah, blah, blah. I think some people still heard that and ignored it and did expect things and were still disappointed. But I think that thinking back to the actual SGF on Friday, it was like sparsed out in like for the entire thing. There was like 3 or 4 things that really caught my attention, and they weren't all clustered together.
Yeah,
so that kind of helped me have like a slightly more positive overall than I think maybe you or Cayman had. But I do think Xbox popped off today, which we'll get into here in a little bit. I didn't really catch a whole lot of the Saturday stuff with all the indies, but of course that's a lot of big names in the indie, sphere that I enjoy their products and I'm excited to see what they're bringing. I just didn't happen to catch it because just life's going on.
For sure. No, I feel that, and I think to your point with SGF proper on Friday, when I look at the rundown of each showcase next to each other, I do feel like there were more lulls within SGF, but they were able to at least have that pace throughout. It wasn't like once we reached 60% through the show, the rest was shit. Like I feel like they did a good job of, I think I messaged one of you or both of you, like, I feel like there were a few times where it was like, all right, I'm ready to kind of move on. Then something would come up that would get my attention. But comparing that to Xbox, I feel like those lulls were a lot smaller for me. There were a lot more. Maybe it's just 1 or 2 games of a lull as opposed to like 4, 5, or 6 sometimes with SGF. And also SGF has that unfortunate reality of straight up having commercials throughout. Like, of course they're game commercials, but it's like, here's another VR game.
Here's Asgard's Wrath 2 for the billionth time.
Right.
Only on MetaQuest.
Right. But I don't know. I feel like overall, I think it was a strong show. Strong's not the right word. I think it was a good show. I think when we compare it to good show. I think when we compare it to previous years, there's not one of those huge standout moments from SGF on Friday. Like there wasn't Elden Ring, there wasn't Alan Wake 2, like those kinds of moments. I mean, there was Alan Wake 2, but we'll get to it. So let's let's jump into the recap. Starting with SGF on Friday. So they opened the show, I thought, pretty strong with Lego Horizon Adventures. Sir.
Okay, so here's the thing. I want to get this out in the open is that you, for some reason, were like, oh, you know what we're not going to do? I'm not going to play this day one. I'm not hot on this game. Patrick, I'm very disappointed in you.
I love to be a disappointment. And I feel like I did my duty. Could go on.
Patrick starts with a hot dog guy.
True.
Okay. So like already this trailer was made for me. So like that's right off the bat we get that. So there's a lot here that I think is really cool about this. Is like I want to say this is one of the first, if not the first, at least modern Lego game that it does appear as though everything in the game is Lego. Which I feel like Lego games tend to have this thing where it's like only like characters or like interactable items in the world are made of Legos.
Sure.
where like this is like the first time I think we're actually seeing it be like this is legit Lego worlds. It looks real. Like this is like photorealistic Legos, which is insane. So and also just love Horizon. I love the fact that it's couch co-op. Like all it's hitting all of the marks for me, and it's coming to Nintendo Switch.
Which that was
bonkers.
like, yeah,
Big surprise
absolutely awesome
on that front for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I love Horizon. I love that they're swinging here. It just doesn't. I want to see more, I guess is my point, because I've always been kind of hot and cold on the Lego franchise in general. And I do like that this is a new take seemingly on the Lego franchise. But I guess I kind of don't get it still, just from a like, is it a retelling of the first game? Is it a whole new thing? Like, what should I expect here other than like fun, goofy Horizon, which I think is enough to at least start with from a trailer standpoint.
I think fun and goofy Horizon, even if that's the story, then like
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with it. I think
Yeah.
this is a really cool. I think it's a really cool concept. I am, to your point, like I am looking to see more of this. But I'm excited. Unlike you,
Yeah.
I am excited about this.
Hey,
I am too. I mean, I definitely popped off seeing this. I mean, I feel like I'm typically higher on the Horizon games than most people that I speak with are. Like it was my personal game of the year from a couple years ago, which was again a very strong year.
Yeah.
But I just seem to jive with it more than a lot of the people that I speak with. But
for sure.
I also, I mean, I jumped into the Lego Skywalker Saga from a couple years ago. I absolutely adored that.
I
That
did
was
really like that one, the
Yeah.
Skywalker Saga.
That was like for better or worse, reignited my love for actually building Lego. So
Did we
I actually
get a
have
date
the Lego tall neck is no, I think it's a holiday
Holiday,
2024 is what it said. I've got that Lego tall neck, and I'm hoping that we get some more Lego Horizon creatures out of this
I bet
collaboration.
I bet
That'll
we
be
do.
fun.
So next up, after Lego Horizon Adventures, was a game called Neva, which is from the team that made Gree. I still forget.
Gristle stuck between my teeth. Still can't get rid of it.
But this one, I was a really big fan of this vibe. I don't know, like it feels like it's looking a lot more engaging than Jordan. How do we say it? Is it Grease?
I think it is Grease.
Grease, great.
I think
Has that same really, really beautiful art style that Grease had. We got a little companion, like a fucking fox deer looking thing.
Yeah, what exactly was that?
Not sure.
Like it looked fox, and then at the end it looked like it had antlers. So maybe it changes along the journey.
I thought it was just a dog.
Could have been.
Dog deer, deer dog,
deer dog, dog deer. But Cayman and I were not Grease girlies. And I hope that this game hits more from an engagement standpoint. But Jordan, you're a Grease girly, right?
I'm a Grease girly, and I think it's safe to also be a Neva nude.
Very good.
But no, this trailer, and I had the same reaction when I saw the original Grease trailer. It was just like, this is stunning. I cannot wait to get my hands on this. Just like as far as the art direction, the art style. And I mean, even as someone who loved Grease, I can completely understand why not everyone's a girly for it. You know, this is how personal tastes, how video games roll. So,
this is true.
but yeah, the fact that this one is incorporating what looks like more exploration and actual combat, as opposed to just the puzzles and evading some enemies, the kind of thing. It looks. I'm very excited to see how they pull this one off, because it looks just absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I agree. Did this do anything for you, Cayman?
So I think this is going to be one of those where like I'm going to have to get hands-on time with it.
Sure.
The concept of Gristle, the concept I liked. The execution I felt was just lacking from an entertainment perspective. I was not engaged. So I'm hoping to like Jordan's point that there's going to be a little bit more engagement there within, like if there's combat or if there's something that's going to be driving where like it's not just going to be like jumping from platform to platform for 5 straight hours. That was a bit lost on me. So like I'm really hoping that we do get a little bit of something there. But yeah, I think the art style is great. I think Griss's art style was fantastic too. So I think it's just going to be one of those where we'll see if we see more, when we see more, jump into it at that point.
And looking at the studio, I think Grease was their first game, so it could be one of those like we talked so much about recently, like with Tales of Quinzera Zao. Like first game out is always obviously difficult to make a game for the first time. So I'm sure this one will probably be a good bit of a step up. I would think
for sure.
After that,
Team Cherry's case, getting your second game out seems impossible. So, well, Silk Song win.
Oh! I didn't know that was their name.
I don't legitimately do not think ever.
That just clicked for me that was not in the Xbox showcase.
It was nowhere to be found at all.
Nowhere to be found. Yep. Fuck. What is happening with that video game? Let's just talk about it. Actually, now that it came up, is it dead? It's not dead, right?
It's not dead, but it's not. Look, here's the thing. I don't think it can come this year. Because it's day one on Game Pass and it wasn't at Xbox Showcase, makes me think it is not coming anytime soon.
Man, that's fair. I forgot that it was. Yeah, they had put it on there coming next year, and that was 2 years ago at this point.
Look, if it was coming this year, Xbox
it would have been there.
Shown it this today.
100%
would have shown it. They did not show it.
I do think that there's like a extremely slim, like even more slim than Metroid Prime 4 chance of it being at the Nintendo Direct, because I feel like they've had other announcements.
I don't know.
I think the reveal trailer was at a Nintendo Direct, was it not? Like the very first reveal trailer for Silk Song.
Let me look.
I know it was at the last year's Xbox Showcase. It was at last year's Xbox Showcase. 2 years ago when they announced it was going to come day and date.
Yeah, and I think that announcement was like the second trailer for it, I think. And I think that the first one was a Nintendo Direct announcement.
Interesting.
But either way, you're probably on the money that's not this year, though.
Look, if it doesn't show up at Nintendo's, it's not coming this year.
So it was revealed February 14th, 2019. So I'm searching February Direct 2019. There was one on the 13th. And this says it was revealed on the 14th, but it might be a date thing. So it was probably the Direct that year that this was shown. So I guess, there's precedence.
That hurts my heart.
But 5 years ago, it was unveiled. Yeah. And
is it funny that we've actually seen more for Bloodborne on PlayStation this year than Silk Song, period.
Wow, that's true. With the fucking robot, Astrobot, little... Oh, man. Look... Jumping ahead, just ever so briefly, Metal Gear Solid Delta didn't get a date. Avowed got a year. Indiana Jones got a year. Silk Song nowhere to be found. I'm fucked, people.
Hold on. There's more here. There's more here. Tom Warren from The Verge, he tweeted out. He's been tweeting out a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
So I know we're going to talk about a little bit about this at the Xbox, but I do want to say that what he said, internal reports he's hearing from devs within Xbox. There's a November estimated release date for Avowed. Indiana Jones, December.
Not happening.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
December is not even a dump month. December is like a don't fucking release your game this month.
Right. It's like,
so if they're released that, and they're like how much time they dedicated to the showcase to Indiana Jones, I'm like, there's no way that it gets dropped in December.
There's no way,
sir. Absolutely.
This is going to be a February or January game.
Oh,
probably.
Yeah, has to be. Yeah. Not December. Never December.
But you it would be a little bit of a blow to say, having announced 2024 initially, to then today say 2025. So I bet we'll get a delay within the next couple months of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, they don't want to announce a delay during Summer Game Fest weekend.
But you look at it, we've seen more gameplay from Indiana Jones than we've seen Avowed. So,
that's true. Although today's trailer of Indiana Jones was like 95% cinematics. There was like the sizzle reel at the end of gameplay.
That is true.
But
Avowed was pretty much like all gameplay for the most
part. Interesting. Well, jumping back to SGF after that, we've seen this game so many times, so we can maybe skate by this one, but I do want to know what is y'all's hype level of Metaphor ReFantasia.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Skate.
No,
That was a really shitty segue into Metaphor.
We'll skate by skate later.
Speaking of Final Fantasy,
skate by skate.
Go to Burger King.
Look, anything from the creators of Persona, I feel like is gonna slap. From everything I've seen, I think what we saw was like this week or like at the showcase was. I don't think it was necessary to show. We already had like a 30-minute deep dive a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Probably not even a couple months ago. I don't think it was necessary to even show up there. Seems like wasted marketing money, to be honest with you. Ultimately, though, I'm very excited for the game. What is it? August coming out?
October 11th.
October 11th. Wow. So we're getting both Budokai Tenkaichi 4 on the same. I can't do that. I don't have enough money.
Yeah.
I don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Is one of them coming to Game Pass day one?
I'll blow my fucking brains out.
I don't know, actually.
I'm coming to Game Pass day one now.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you
Everything's coming to Game Pass day one now.
Jordan, what about you? I know you drafted it, but Metaphor ReFantasia, where are you at?
That was more of a head pick than a heart pick, if I'm being honest.
Sure.
And that's to say nothing negative about the game. I think it looks incredibly slick. I just something about the Persona and Metaphor system of like almost like Pokemon style, but just interchanging the powers for your protagonist. It just my eyes glaze over when I'm thinking about it. But again, I may have to check it out though because it really does look like very stylish, very engaging. So
for sure,
I don't know.
Well, after that, we got Blumhouse Games. So this we've known that Blumhouse was what had a game studio coming. It was just a matter of what are they going to release. They gave us a sizzle reel. They showed like 5 or 6 games. We got Crisply is making Theater of Idols. We got a game called Crave Seasons, which is looking like a Stardew Valley horror game. We got Sleep Awake, which looks like a first-person sleep horror game. A game called Fear the Spotlight. Very hard to describe that one, but later they talked about it. It's like very much like a 90s nostalgia vibe. I don't really know what that means. Like there was a Ouija board situation in that one. There was a cool sounding one called The Simulation, which was like you're in the shoes of a game developer and some sort of spookiness starts to happen. And then the one that got me most excited, Project C, which is a Sam Barlow horror game being developed. Something about wanting to break the future or something. I forget what its little tagline was.
Wasn't that also with Cronenberg?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why they call it Project C, because like, C for Cronenberg.
Sure, could be. I feel like that one's probably pretty far away. I would think of these. That's probably they just wanted to include that one to get the name out. I would think, and because Cronenberg is a big name, Sam Barlow is a big name. But so this, what I'm interested about on this, me being a complete, I'm unawares of all things Blumhouse.
Sure.
This really caught me. This was of the SGF showcase up to this point. This was the first time I was like, ooh, okay, I'm listening. I'm watching. And then Cayman, I texted you about it, and you kind of looped me in on a little bit about Blumhouse. And now I'm a bit concerned. Talk us through that.
Sure. So Jason Blum from Blumhouse, he is notorious. Basically, they have a model within the horror ecosphere where they make movies or produce movies for budgets roughly between $1 to $10 million. The goal is to make double back, right? They can make 20,000. We're in the green. That's how they function.
Okay.
They pump and dump. Blumhouse will release 5 to 10 movies a year, ranging quality. Maybe one of them is good. The rest are dog shit.
Okay.
But as long as they're making double profit back, then the business model can continue. My problem with this, that's not how video games work.
Sure.
Not saying that video games can't be made for $10 million. What I'm saying is video games you can't produce a video game in, 2 months, basically.
Right.
And so that's where I'm kind of coming in of like, hey, I'm not sure how this is going to function. So for me, the way I'm kind of imagining this is what we are going to get. Do not expect long games. Talk probably short experiences.
Okay.
Maybe anywhere from 1 to 3 hours long, maybe that. They're going to be ranging quality of games, and I genuinely don't know if this will surpass this first batch of games.
Okay.
I don't know if it will last any longer than that.
What are the chances you think, and obviously this is all speculation, but that's what a fucking podcast is, baby. Sure. What do you think the chances are that they don't go that model for video games? Or do you think that that's like just so hard baked into the DNA of Blumhouse that you would expect that that's going to be the case here too?
So, and that's a good question. And it really comes down to like, one, I'm assuming if this is how they're going to function, and I really think it's hard baked in. They are in they are profit driven. I mean, all companies are profit driven,
Sure.
but like, even more so, Blumhouse is profit driven. That's why you get so many movies dropping at such a quick pace and just being churned out and make back what you can make back. I don't know if it necessarily, like, I just feel hung up that like if they don't see a significant profit in this first batch of games to like drive this forward, they won't continue to do this.
Okay.
Like, he's been very clear, like the head of Blumhouse has been very clear that this is how they make movies. He shies away from movies that like producing there. I remember when they released the first Purge film, you got Ethan Hawke to be in the first Purge movie. And for them to be able to make the movie, Ethan Hawke was sleeping on Jason Blumhouse's couch during the production to save money.
Oh, wow.
So now they've gotten much bigger, don't
Sure.
get me wrong, as it goes, but like movies come first. I also think that if they start to see a reduction in profits on the movie side, that could cancel all of this out too.
Interesting. Okay.
So I think there's so many variables here. I just don't want anyone to get their hopes up. This feels like a what is it? The Dark Pictures anthology kind of like,
Sure.
where, you know what, we're going to give you 8 things. And what, we only got 3 of the 8 before they were like, we're not doing a damn thing more. Bye guys. That feels like how this is going to shake out.
Yeah. I hope not. Go ahead, Jordan.
Sorry. Do the Blumhouse movies have enough of a like dedicated fan base that you think these games will draw them over? Like, even if they're not typically gamers, that it could draw them over and still keep those profits coming in, do you think? Or
so I think horror fans are just like we are like the horror community, and I'm definitely part of that community. Like, we love our horror movies, bad and good. I think a lot of people are very dissatisfied with Blumhouse in general, of the way that they've kind of chewed through to build this like this model of movies that is very hard to obtain anywhere else. Like, to be able to get that. So it's one of those interesting things where I don't necessarily think, I think there's a good portion of people who are horror people, because we're nerds typically.
Sure.
Yeah. That already are playing video games, right? I don't think it's going to drive the needle for anyone outside to be like, oh my God, I love Megan so much, I have to get a PlayStation 5. No, it's not going to, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to happen. Sure, you might love that little robot. You might love that little robot, but that ain't happening. So
they would say it in that exact voice too, which I love.
Yeah.
So
it's true too. Like, if you think about it, like if you really are like in deep with the idea of what it is, like Blumhouse is known also, they want to hit the wide variety of people. So the audience they hit is like that 12 to 16 range a lot of times, because they're making PG-13 movies, because you can get a wider audience that way.
Right.
Yep, that's true.
And so I don't really think that like that's the type of audience that you're going to be able to like drive them. No 13-year-old's going to fork out $500 for a PlayStation,
right,
unless mommy and daddy do it for them. And I don't think a 13-year-old necessarily is going to be listening to Spotlight Games to be like, oh my God, Blumhouse is making movies? They probably don't even know what the fuck Blumhouse is.
If they were, they probably shouldn't. They probably shouldn't be.
Correct.
Mega.
Okay, well, I'm glad for all of that context, because like I said, I popped off for that part of the showcase. So I'm glad, like I'm going to have my expectations in check now, because I don't want to be burned. Because, there's so few in the grand scheme. There's so few, I think, horror voices in video games. Obviously, we get a lot of video games, but when you compare it to all the other genres, I think it is one of the most underserved genres in video games. So at the very least, I'm excited that we're going to get more. I just hope that that they can deliver, because some of these, like the one that jumps out to me the most is Crave Seasons, which is they brought out their creative head of the video game division, and she basically was like, what if you had a cozy farm sim with a little bit of murder? And like that sounds like a fun shakeup of like a Stardew Valley type.
Yeah.
I just hope that they can deliver. After that, we got a game that shocked me, that I'm very interested in, that I will probably never touch. And that is Power Rangers Rita's Rewind. It looks so fucking cool. It has that old retro feel of the old side-scrolling beat 'em up Power Rangers games from our childhood. A game that I just completely forgot existed. Like I played so much of whatever those old side-scrolling beat 'em up Power Rangers games were, and I just like forgot they existed. But if you remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game from last year, Shredder's Revenge, it's giving that. Did this pop off or did you guys like this at all? Is this something that you think you might touch?
Yeah, look, I think for me specifically, I like there's a nostalgia hit for that. And I think honestly, walking away from it, I'm like, I don't really have much of a drive for Power Rangers, even though I grew up on Power Rangers as I did when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just because like those games, like Turtles in Time, was like that was my game with my brother growing up. But it did, oddly enough, it did like pop this idea in my head where it's like, why the fuck is Disney not like getting a studio like this to remake some of like the old like X-Men? No. No. Get the fuck, Jordan, go home. Someone remove him from this. No, like the old, like the X-Men beat 'em ups.
Yeah.
Like, why haven't we? What?
There he goes.
Why haven't we? They've done that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, there's an audience for it. You know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
sure.
But yeah, no. It looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
Not sure if it'll be like one that I pick up right off the bat, but definitely if it's like cheap enough, I think in the future, like sub 20, I'll definitely snag a copy.
Yeah,
it's not like not really my vibe these days, but it does look cool. Like objectively, hits that nostalgia
style.
Yeah, because I played the I forget what the name of it was, but whatever like Ninja Turtles game was, couch co-op for the NES.
Yeah, that was Shredder's Revenge.
For the NES. Yeah, play with my grandparents' house with my brother and our cousins. Like, some fun times. I just haven't really played those kind of games basically since I was, 8 or 10 years old. So
yeah, that's it. That's a genre for me where it's fun to see that they still exist when they come back, but when I actually pick up the sticks, it just doesn't click for me like it used to. But I want it to.
Yeah.
After that was a game that I kind of still don't fully understand, but I really liked the vibe of it. It was called Deer and Boy. It was giving like Inside vibes, but like I said, I don't really know what to expect, but it kind of looked like that, like with a companion moving through space. Maybe there's some environmental puzzles, maybe there's combat, maybe there's not. I don't know, but it's a game that I want to at least keep my attention on, or my eye on. And then after that, we got Kingdom Come Deliverance, more like Kingdom Come with a U, Cayman.
You did it. You brought that joke back just for me, baby.
Just for you, baby. No, that game, I was shocked when that trailer came up, because I know about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Why am I saying Deliverance? Is it Deliverance?
Yeah,
it is.
Great. It felt wrong. It didn't have a good mouth feel, Cayman. Speaking of, no. The trailer is like weirdly like sexual. I was not expecting this. But hey.
They're really getting into that this new wave gamer mindset where everything has to have TNA in it now. I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe there was some sexual vibes to it. I don't know if I necessarily call all of them the same way you did. Kingdom Come 2 is actually on I picked up Fantasy Critic. I picked it up when the announcement came out that we would be getting the sequel this year. When it released back in the day, it was relatively well received.
Yeah.
Albeit there were some bugs and wasn't necessarily perfect. However, what I am expecting is that, because my opinion, I think a lot of people's opinion were the same, was like, a sequel will most likely fix most of those issues.
Mm,
And we will get like a legitimately cool like medieval sim,
Cool.
which is pretty much what the first game is.
somewhere Lucas is just creaming his leathers.
He's creaming his leathers, yeah.
After that, we got Slitterhead. Speaking of horror, what a weird looking game.
Yeah.
There's this little worm, and I guess you play as the worm. I think you play as
don't-
RFK's worm, his brain.
Maybe
I was gonna bring that up.
RFK's brain parasite.
But it showed
Stand by and ready.
in the gameplay trailer. It showed you're controlling a human, and then the human like jumped off a building, and then it went like not black and white, but like only your worm was kind of in color as like a yellow, and then you would like jump to a different human like at a building across the way, and I guess you would just assume that the human that you just jumped out of is dead now. Very weird vibe. I want to see more of it, but from the minds that brought us Silent Hill originally, so it's gonna be fucking weird, I'm sure.
I want to hope that basically it's like you jump into this body and it's just like you just see the body you jumped out of just plummet and splatter on the ground. Like this happens all the time in this universe. People just fall to their deaths constantly around everyone.
It seems like it, according to
I
this
think it's
trailer.
really cool. Yeah,
Twist,
I
that's
mean,
actually taking place during the happening. And it was brainworms, not leaves the entire
Could be.
time.
Could be.
Ooh,
Could
that's
be.
a callback to shit. And look, it being from the creator of Silent Hill, there's definitely a pedigree there that makes me think that like this will be at least interesting. If it's not a great game, it'll at least be different than anything we've probably seen before.
True. After that, another thing that jumped out to me was a game called Wander Stop. This is from the creator of the Stanley Parable. The trailer itself was like, it seemed kind of tame. Like, didn't seem like a whole lot was happening, but you could tell that like there is something else happening here. I just don't know what it is. So I'm keeping that one on my radar because that one looks pretty cool.
It's like, okay. It reminded me of a lot of like, what was that? It's like the Dragon's Cafe, Little Dragon's Cafe or something like that. I'm trying to remember the name of the game. It's like a little indie game. Very much like you run a tea shop, right? It's this game. Then the last like 30 seconds, because Sydney's like, this game looks like a game for me. I want to play. And then the last 30 seconds is like this crazy PTSD, like, oh, fuck. Like, and also Stanley Parable is one, is going to be funny.
Yeah.
And two, I have a feeling it's also just going to be like, riddled with existential crises.
Probably.
Yeah, Little Dragon's Cafe is the name of a game, so
could be. Yeah. So according to IGN, it's a cozy farming sim that might have a few secrets to hide. So there's going to be something different here, and it's supposedly coming to Steam and PS5 later this year. So maybe.
Do you think the secret's hemorrhoids?
Could be.
What if the secret was that there actually was nothing nefarious at all, and it just was a cozy farm sim? And then credits roll and nothing happens.
Right.
They just set something up the whole game and never deliver on it.
Hey,
yep.
You never know.
There. Sounds like Starfield.
Hey,
got him. Got him. After that, we got a game. I don't know if Unknown 9 is in the title, but it was prevalent in the text. So I'm going to call it Unknown 9 Awakening, if that's the title. Not a good title. Let's workshop that, folks. But it was giving Banishers Ghosts of New Eden to me. A game that I'd like to see more of. I don't know if like what really to expect from it, but I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe the main actress in it is Yennefer from the Witcher show.
I was about to ask. I was like, wait a second. She looks like Yennefer. Yeah.
Yeah. And she sounded like her too. So I think it's probably safe to assume it is her.
And
but it looks very like
titled
cinematic.
Unknown 9 Awakening. Yeah.
It is Unknown. Okay. I mean, hey, I'm ready to be wrong. I hope that Unknown 9 makes a lot of sense in context, and it'll be like, man, what a great addition to the title. But right now, without context, not doing anything for me. After that was actually one of my highlights of the show. Even though nothing that they showed was particularly of interest to me, but Inner Sloth, the folks that do Among Us, announced a new thing that they're calling Outer Sloth, which is essentially like an indie fund for a thing. Like, I don't know exactly how it works, but they're funding indie games under this new like label of theirs, which I just think is really cool. Like they make so much money on Among Us, and instead of just like raking in the bucks like so many big corporations do in video games, they're just like, no, actually, let's give back to the indies and see more indie games get made. So
You love
that
to see
I
it.
thought was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
After that, Alan Wake 2 back on stage. A couple announcements with Alan Wake 2. A physical release coming this fall. Came, and I know that makes you happy.
It looks beautiful.
We got a collector's edition and like a deluxe edition that we're going to be getting. I don't know what comes with the collector's edition yet. I haven't looked, but I bet it's
Oh, it
something
comes
cool.
with the lamp, an actual
Ooh,
physical lamp. That's like
that's
the
fun.
driving force where I'm like, I want this just for the lamp.
That's cool. And then also,
And also the Dark Presence. Sorry. It just,
the Dark Presence is always around us. Yeah, it's always around us. And then DLC Night Springs, which was formerly on one of our Fantasy Critic Leagues, but I don't believe is anymore. Is that correct, Jordan?
That's correct. We'll see if that was a good decision or a bad decision.
We'll see. But it's coming out this morning. It's out now. So, but what were you saying, Jordan?
I think that we'd had a conversation, maybe on the podcast, maybe just in Discord, join the Discord, about how we haven't seen anything about it for so long. And so I ended up dropping it and picking up other stuff. And then, of course, last week and a half ago, they started changing their social medias to be all cutesy with the Poison Pill Productions and whatever else. So again, we'll see if it was a bad decision or a good one as far as what the score ends up being.
What threw me, I guess it's not a spoiler since it's part of the trailer, is that it was 3 episodes. One of them, Jesse McFadden.
No Mick, just Faden.
Faden? Oh, yeah. Is it Jesse? What?
Jesse Faden.
She could. I think you're thinking of Matthew McFadden, the actor in the show that you hate on HBO.
Never seen it.
What's the show that you hated with all the rich people? Its name is 6 Action.
Never seen it, Patrick.
But you hate it.
Yeah, whatever. You made me look stupid on the podcast.
Was it me?
Okay, it's always me. Either way, she shows up. So here's the thing: we know Alan Wake showed up in a Control DLC.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse showing up in an Alan Wake 2 DLC. I'm curious. Obviously, interconnected, but very curious to see what ends up how they tie this in, and is this going to prime up Control 2?
Yeah,
which we know is in production. So.
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna get is there gonna be more? Are we gonna get more of Alan Wake and in the Control universe? How is this gonna shake out? I'm very excited. I don't know when I'll get around to playing the DLC just because there's so much shit I'm still trying to burn through right now. But from all intents and purposes, looks really cool.
Looks really cool. And I think what I'm most interested about, and I'm gonna try to play at least a little bit of it before the podcast on Tuesday, but my hope is that, because it was described as what if scenarios. So I'm curious, is this all canon? Is it just weird other dimension shit? Or is there more of a legit connection between both games? My hope is that there is, that it's not just filler, that they didn't want to just be let's just make some more content for the sake of making more content. I would be surprised if Remedy would do that. But only way to find out is to play it. And you can't.
I've got a quick question about the physical release that if neither of you know, then great, we'll move on. I've just seen some chatter online of just people being annoyed to varying degrees that it's limited run games that's doing it. Why is that? Does it I've never bought anything from them, so I don't know. Are they not known to be good, or I don't know what's going on with limited run games?
I want to say that I don't want to speak out of turn on this, but I want to say that there was some controversy that popped up over the last year, I want to say, where limited run games, there was maybe it was something I want to say internally with not over work, not crunch time we normally see, but I want to say there was some issues with some employee policies or something like that.
Gotcha.
That people weren't. I could be wrong, so I don't want to speak too much on it, but I want to say that it was something along those lines.
Yeah, and I feel I've heard that sometimes there's very varying quality with what they release.
Okay.
Games thing sometimes with the limited run, normally there is some sort of a special piece with the lamp, and I've heard sometimes that the quality of those are kind of shit. Sometimes.
Because I saw in the Discords that people were a little bit annoyed that the Animal Well physical release is also going to be from limited run. But again, I didn't dive too deep into it. So, okay,
Gotcha.
that explains it.
Yeah, so we'll see. Well, here's the thing. On Reset Era, it's when I just searched limited run games controversy, something about a transphobe maybe working there. So I don't know. Look into limited run games before you give them your money, I guess, to see what's the deal with that. Because we don't like transphobes at this podcast.
We don't.
After that, something that jumped out to me, Hyperlight Breaker. This is the sequel to Hyperlight Drifter. Early access coming late summer. But did either of you play Drifter? Hyperlight Drifter?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of Hyperlight Drifter? Do you remember?
I remember not finishing it.
Yeah, I think I was the same.
I want to say I picked it up for like dirt cheap on one of sales or something, and just put in like an hour into it. I was like, yeah, not my game.
Yeah.
Looks cool. Hyperlight Breaker looks I think looks more my speed than Hyperlight Drifter was. So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, because they're bringing in a new perspective. Like the
Yeah.
original game was over the top. This is like third person over the shoulder kind of situation. And it looks a little bit more action-y, perhaps. Hard to say. And then I guess part of the reason that it's early access, is it multiplayer? Do we know? Unsure.
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
And then we're gonna just skate right by Skate 4. Hey guys, was that good?
That was good.
Much better. Much better.
Great, thanks guys. And then they showed to close out the show, Phantom Blade Zero, which we had already seen at a PlayStation showcase last year, but they gave us a new trailer, showed a little bit more of the combat. I'm stuck on this one because visually I think it looks cool. It looks interesting, engaging. I like the art style. But then it's like, when was the last time I really clicked with like this kind of a Souls-like game? It's probably Bloodborne. What did this do? Did this do anything for either of you? Phantom Blade Zero?
Yeah, that's a good one. So first I want to circle back real fast. Yes, online cooperative play for Hyperlight Breaker. Okay, Phantom Blade looks cool. I definitely think of all of the games we've seen up to this point in the showcase, this one I think is pushing. This isn't like Black Myth Wukong, which we didn't talk about. There's not really much else to say there on that game. But like, I think this is one games so far that I'm like, this really seems like it is finally taking advantage of the hardware.
Yes.
Outside of that, though, man, I'm really fucking tired of everything being any third-person action game is a Souls-like. Every fucking one of them is a Souls-like now, and it's really annoying.
I'm getting a bit tired of it myself.
Yeah, and I'm like, also, I was talking with Patrick and I were talking about this earlier because there's like a few games that are on an Xbox's showcase, and there's a few games in this showcase as well that did it. But like everything right now is like feudal Asia time period, and it all feels like it's all starting to just blend into one. And they're, for the most part, almost all Souls-likes. And they're all fucking blending in together.
You're not wrong.
And I'm like,
You're not wrong.
I'm like, once you got one mid-feudal Japan Souls-like, you got a billion of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I am holding out hope that something like Assassin's Creed Shadows, which won't be a Souls-like, will like be enough for me to be like, okay, I can ignore everything else and just play the one that's in the genre that I like. But that's a good point. There's so much in that style right now.
I think feudal Asian Souls-like is kind of like when your parents found out that you liked a certain cereal when you were a kid, and so that's all they bought for like 2 months straight, and now you can't stand the taste of it even as an adult. That's what's happening.
I'd like to dive into that a little bit, Jordan. It feels very personal for you. What happened?
I don't. Not here.
Not ready to talk about it. Okay.
He had to have like full-blown reconstructive surgery on the roof of his mouth because he ate so much Captain Crunch.
Yeah. When you're ready, you tell us.
Shredded.
I just stick to oops all berries, and we'll leave it at that.
Okay, I understand. And that was the end of SGF. So I feel like when we talked about this last week,
boring,
bored. When we talked about this last week, and Jeff was like 8 out of 10, we came in and I were both like, it's probably going to be a 6 out of 10. I feel like 5.5, 6 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Maybe
Easily.
even the 5.5. Like there were a few things that jumped out to me.
Sure. The fact that we didn't get a Borderlands 4 announcement, the big announcement from 2K was Civilization 7.
Oh, that's
I
what that
would
was.
throw myself off a fucking roof for that.
That's right.
That
That's what
alone,
that
like,
was.
so I'm being generous with this 6 out of 10. Really, the only thing that like moved the needle for me was that we got some release dates. Specifically, Budokai Tenkaichi 4 is coming out October 11th, which apparently is going to be the same day as some other game that we talked about that I've already forgotten about.
Well, true name, Sparking Zero, which is
Whoa.
rolls off the tongue.
Which
Sparking
is
Zero.
okay, so apparently that's it. They're doing this Yakuza thing
Oh no.
where in Japan it's all like a dragon, and then in the US it was Yakuza.
Mhm.
They're now doing that with Budokai, where in the US for some reason we got the weird name of Budokai Tenkaichi, but in Japan it was Dragon Ball Z Sparking.
Are you
So, like,
serious?
how the fuck did we get here is beyond me, but they are doing it where they're bringing back Sparking is now, so we get Sparking Zero instead of the much better title, Budokai Tenkaichi 4.
What a weird. Video games are weird, man.
Video games are weird.
Okay, they need to partner with Bubbly and or LaCroix and have a Sparkling Zero flavor
Whoa.
that gets you like points to redeem
Yeah,
characters.
it's
I'm
like a
legit-
Mountain Dew Code Red situation.
I'm not even kidding when I say this. I'm legit will take off October 11th just to sit down and boot up Budokai 4.
Fucking do it.
Because, like,
Buddha it up. I don't know.
you know?
Whoa.
You
Yeah,
know? No one's going to tell me that I can't be a 13-year-old boy again.
I literally won't tell you that. Fucking live your life, dude. I'm here to tell you that. I'm here to tell you that, Cayman.
You tell me that.
Couple other really quick hits before we jump into Xbox. So there were a bunch of other showcases. We had Day of the Devs, which was right after the Summer Game Fest showcase, which is run by the good folks over at Double Fine. They kind of lead that along with some other indie folks. We had a Devolver showcase. We had a women-led games showcase. We had a cozy game showcase, the Wholesome Direct, they called it. And there were like 3 or 4 more. Excuse me, I just choked on literally nothing. So a couple of things that jumped out from that for me. Battle Vision Network. Do you guys remember Grindstone from Capybara Games?
I played that one.
It was an iOS game or a mobile game. Really fun game. It was on the Apple Arcade. It was like when Apple Arcade launched. That was one of the games on that.
That sounds really familiar. What was the gameplay like?
It was a puzzler of like a match 3 type game.
Oh,
it had like a really cool art style, and you played as a character that was like kind of killing all of these things.
Yeah.
They're making a new game that's kind of giving that, but I think it might be a multiplayer, like a kind of like Marvel Snap where you play against another player. I was a little unclear on it because I was kind of skimming through, but that's called Battle Vision Network. There's a game that looks like an OG Pokemon game called Pedal Runner. Like it honestly looks exactly like Pokemon, but you play. I think you have like part of like a motorcycle group or something. I don't know exactly what it was, but it looks kind of cool. Cayman, did you ever play?
Motorcycle?
Maybe. Did you play Cozy Grove, Cayman?
No, I did
Like
not.
2 motorcycles with the house in the middle.
I thought you did. Maybe Sid played it, or maybe I just played it and I projected that.
I played some Cozy Grove.
There you go, Jordan. Come on. We're getting a new Cozy Grove Camp Spirit. And if you have Netflix, you're gonna get it for free as part of Netflix gaming, which is kind of cool. And then there was this really trippy game called Screenbound that I thought I want to see more about. So essentially, the way that Screenbound, I will do my best to explain this, but it's fucking trippy. Go look at a trailer for Screenbound. It's in a 3D space, and you're running around this space, and you're holding like an old, what looks like a Game Boy. But what's on the Game Boy is you in a 2D space. So it's this like weird 2D / 3D puzzler that looks totally fucking trippy that I want to try out because it kind of, it has that like, looks like something I've never seen before, which I always love in that kind of space.
Yes.
After that, a couple other standouts. We're getting new Cult of the Lamb content. You can do co-op now. That was in the Devolver showcase.
Sid's real excited because she's like, we're finally going to be able to do Cult of the Lamb together, which I guess is a good enough reason for me to be like, It's time for me to platinum Call of the Lamb.
Boom. There you go. And then
like
a game.
he made an excuse to platinum.
That's true. He
You
certainly
platinum
does not.
Poppy, you.
Dude, I'm about to fucking platinum Immortals of Avium, which fuck me, right?
Oh, give me a reason to.
Fucking stupid shit over here.
And then a game that you guys will be seeing me stream at some point called The Crush House. Have we heard about this? Have we heard about The Crush House? The Crush House is a game in which you play as the cameraman / producer of a reality TV show that's basically like Real World or like Big Brother, and you're like choosing who to film and like who to put on the show, and it just looks really goofy, very unique, and looks like something that we'll have a lot of fun with on twitch.tv/SpotlightGamespot. So yeah, that was that on the indie side of things. I didn't really watch all of them, so I don't want to necessarily give them a grade. But it does seem like there's some cool shit coming out of all of video games at the moment.
Yeah, the one that I can't remember if it was actually on Friday or if it was Saturday, part of the indie showcases, but I want to say it was maybe part of Devolver actually. Was it called The Professors, like the parenthesis S?
Let me look. That sounds right.
Where it has this like just absolute. I mean, which Devolver does this a lot, but just this absolutely gorgeous art style, like the lighting effects and stuff like that. And like I don't know if it's going to be my type of game necessarily, but I want to at least look at it some more because it's pretty.
It's not called The Professors because that's not pulling up anything.
It's something with a parentheses.
Possessors. It's Possessors.
Oh. Are you serious?
Close. You were close.
I've been thinking it was Professors this entire time. This wasn't like,
funny.
I'm on Spotlight. I'm nervous. No, I just can't read, I guess. So.
Oh, interesting. This is from Heart Machine. They're the people that do Hyperlight Drifter and Solar Ash. I guess they're working on another game. That's cool. Okay, cool. So with all that out of the way, we're scooting ahead to today as of recording Sunday for the Xbox showcase to go through some of those highlights as well. As we were kind of talking about at the beginning of the show, Xbox certainly came out swinging much more compared to SGF.
They really did, and compared to their other previous showcases too.
For sure,
we discussed pre-show. So
yeah, there was a point about halfway through that Cayman and I were texting, and we were kind of like, I don't know, like there's been some good stuff, but I don't feel like I'm gonna walk away like really blown away. But then like it just kept going, and in a good way. Like the hits kept coming, so I definitely landed a lot higher on this one, but yeah, general thoughts on the Xbox side of things.
Yeah, I want to start off just by I want to give you some comparable stats here. So in the showcase, they showed 30 unique games.
Okay,
let's say unique games. Some of this is DLC, but games in general. 30 of these games will be coming to PC.
Okay,
29 of these games will be coming to Xbox. So, little fun tidbit.
Yeah.
Because they had an extended look at World of Warcraft, which will not be coming. So, more games will be coming to PC than Xbox from Xbox's showcase.
How about that?
Which is just a wild fun fact.
That is kind of interesting.
18,
they own ABK. I guess it makes sense. But
18 of the games that were shown are coming to Xbox Game Pass day one. 18. Okay. 17 of the games that were shown first party. Okay. So if you don't mind, oblige me here.
I would love to oblige you.
This is very interesting because of the games that they're boasting about being first party. DLC for Starfield. So that's one of their first party games is DLC. DLC for Diablo, DLC for Fallout 76, DLC for Elder Scrolls Online, DLC. We're at 5 now. DLC for Sea of Thieves.
Yeah,
and so there's 5 of the 17 first party games are just DLC. Just
can we call that DLC with SEA?
Whoa, DLC of Thieves.
DLC. Actually, technically, I'm wrong. Technically, 6 of them are DLC because one of them is World of Warcraft DLC.
That's true.
Back. So technically, 6 of the 17 first-party games are just DLC.
Okay.
And I guess Doom: The Dark Ages is kind of like DLC for the Dark Ages.
Could be.
Could be.
Very well could be. Honestly, Doom Dark Ages, which like was like one of the first things that kicked off the showcase. Part of me was like, is this DLC? Like I'm very curious. I want to see more. But like part of me does think like that this might be like one of those. I'm worried that this might actually be one of those types of, it's not DLC technically, but it's not a full standalone title.
Oh,
I think they call those
Uncharted.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please. It's if you know the term for it, it's like Uncharted Lost Legacy was that. Right?
The cutesy name that I've heard is Expandalones.
Yeah, that's right.
Ooh, okay.
Like
So
Miles Morales.
Yeah, so part of me wonders if it's like one of Expandalones. That would be interesting. Of all the other games that were shown, that are like first party titles, really we've seen all of them outside of Doom Dark Ages, and then the big one more thing at the end of the showcase, which I won't spoil yet, but everything else that was announced at the show
Was some sort of a known quantity, yeah.
is a known quantity outside of 2 games.
Hmm.
And both of those games leaked days before.
That's true.
Technically, the Doom Dark Ages leaked like months ago. People knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And Xbox was just like, shh. Like, okay,
Right.
fine,
I won't spoil the last thing that you just mentioned, but one that was kind of in the middle. Had we actually seen the Perfect Dark reboot before?
Oh,
or have
we've known about this game because this is the first quadruple A game. This was the running joke for years. Is this fucking game?
Yeah.
Well, it got beat to the punch by Skull and Bones, unfortunately.
Yeah, which they like
that's
latched
true.
onto it. Like, guys, why are you putting your name against a joke? And then
That's true.
come to find out, fucking joke.
We had seen a cinematic trailer for Perfect Dark before.
Oh,
but we had
okay.
never seen gameplay. It was a short cinematic.
Which,
Yeah, this was, I think, 3 years ago at the Game Awards.
I mean, I don't want to like jump too far ahead about the Perfect Dark, but like, it looks cool.
Mhm.
It just looks like a mixture between Call of Duty and Killzone Shadowfall.
Yeah. Yeah,
For
that
better
one,
or worse.
yeah, that
So,
one didn't do much for me, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
I think overall, it's funny, all of those kind of stats that you gave, when you put it that way, it sounds like it wasn't a very good showcase. But I think despite all of that, despite it being so many known quantities, despite it being so much DLC, I still think that what they showed us was so impressive for the most part.
So it begs the question. I've been really like trying to think about this for a while now of like, is this showcase when it went on, and there were highs and lows the whole showcase, is it just that like this year has really fucking sucked? That like this stands out as like an absolute like gangbuster, like, or is it like the reality is like, oh hey, Microsoft's finally seems to be getting their shit together.
Well,
I guess I've hesitations because I remember a couple of years ago they had that massive showcase where it's like every single game we're showing now is coming out in 12 months, and like 5 of the 50 games they showed showed up, and like 20 of them were just outright canceled. So like, where the fuck is Hollow Knight Silk Song? Where the fuck is it?
Yeah.
Phil Spencer.
I think part of it is that it's been a quiet several weeks, and I think comparing to last year, which was just so stacked in terms of releases, like high profile, huge releases,
except for Xbox.
True, no, for sure, absolutely. But I feel like actually that is a great kind of addition to my point of this is so many of these things that we had seen before was either in the like everything's out in 12 months showcase or last year. Like we saw Fable last year, we saw South of Midnight last year. There were a few games from last year that we didn't see this year. Clock Tower, whatever the fuck that one is. Like there are a few other games that we didn't see that they've announced, but Indiana Jones and the Great Circle announced earlier this year or late last year, I forget which. So it's like we're finally getting more of the games that they have just kind of like continued to show us. That was terrible grammar, but it's been a while since we've gotten close enough to like things actually getting release dates. And so, we didn't get a lot of release dates today, but we got a few. But so I think it's for Xbox, I think it's like the things are finally starting to culminate, that things are finally starting to get to a point where they can have a showcase today of, an hour and a half and spend like another hour on Call of Duty, which we're not going to talk about. And
we have to talk about the fucking jab that Phil Spencer got in.
Talk about it.
PlayStation. So
we opened the show with Call of Duty.
We opened the show with Call of Duty, which I want to say my prediction is we get like a full Call of Duty thing, and then they would talk more about Call of Duty. And then they would tell us stay after the show for more Call of Duty. Be like, okay, we get it. You guys paid billions of dollars just for this one. Yeah. $70 billion just to make this one comment, which was Phil Spencer makes a statement saying, this will be the first time in a long time that Call of Duty will launch with everything for everyone wherever you play it, which is a direct shot fired at PlayStation because PlayStation used to get like 1 month early access to zombies, I think.
That's right.
And other like random either like maps or game modes.
Yeah,
it was
right.
Very bizarre. Yeah.
So that apparently like just shot across the bow at PlayStation to start the fucking show off, which was honestly, I kind of fucking love it.
Yeah.
What I don't love is that they announced specs, and apparently the recommended spec is to have an availability of 300 gigabytes.
Good thing I won't be
fucking
playing
Black Ops 6, which I want to say takes up literally the entire hard drive of a Series S.
Yeah, that's goofy.
So
that is so goofy.
Maybe even Donald too. I don't know.
That's fucking Mickey. I'll tell you what.
The whole fucking family's involved now. But outside of that, Call of Duty looks exactly like Call of Duty, and I don't think really anyone but people who play Call of Duty religiously give a flying fuck at this point.
I do want to say the one thing about Call of Duty that stood out to me. And so after the show, I left it rolling as I was like compiling notes for our conversation today. And I was like, I'm just going to keep listening in case something grabs my attention. And at one point I'm listening in and he's like, we now have it to where, based on wherever you shoot someone on their bodies, we have bespoke animations for each of them so that they'll die a different way. It's like, all right, exit. This is just not for me. Like, this is not interesting. What do you mean that's new? You get shot in the leg and they're going to flop differently than we've been seeing that for fucking years in video games.
Seriously.
Very strange.
Bespoke anime. What was the one that's, I think it's Red Dead Redemption 2. Like if you shoot people certain areas, they'll have like different death animations that will be longer where you shoot them. So if you shoot them in the stomach, like they'll fall over and like crawl and like grab their stomach and like crawl away, but they won't die as fast as if you just shoot them in the head, which they die outright.
Yeah.
So Call of Duty, really proud that you guys have upped the game.
Right. So strange. But
can I shoot someone in the dick, Patrick? That's my question.
That's the question. That's the real question. But yeah, as we've been streaming The Last of Us on Wednesdays, like there are times when, you get someone in the throat and they're like, and then it takes them like 15 seconds to die.
Yeah.
This is not new Call of Duty, but whatever. Yeah. After Call of Duty, we went into Doom, the Dark Ages, which we spoke a little bit about, but this was one of the, I get the second one so far of like Game Pass day one, Xbox, PC, which, later we found out this is also coming to PlayStation. This is certainly not a Patrick game, but I'm curious. I know this is a Cayman game. Jordan, is this a Jordan game?
Not necessarily. I did try probably on Game Pass. I tried the Doom 2016.
Yep.
Yeah. It was really cool. I just, I don't think that do they call it arena shooters, right? Where like basically every room you get locked up until you kill them all. Like that's just not but what I gravitate toward / just it's very these days. I don't go for first person shooters a whole lot regardless.
Sure.
But I mean, respect.
Yeah, respect. Cayman as the biggest of the Doom guys here. What did this do for you?
Yeah, I don't know. So it was really tough when I played Doom 2016. I did not enjoy it at all. I was really struggling with just the idea of the bouncing around the arena like that. However, I do feel like Doom Eternal playing it and going in and now playing another arena shooter with Immortals of Avium, Like it's just a certain brain space you have to get into to do the arena style boomer shooter kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So for me, seeing Dark Ages, I'm like, yeah, I would play this day one on Game Pass. I don't know if I'd go out of my way to pick it up, like pay for it to play it on PlayStation, even though I like the control scheme better on PlayStation. Like, I'll play it. I love a good arena shooter. I love a good boomer shooter.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely throw down with
For
this.
sure.
And this is coming 2025, they say.
Yeah.
No date, just 2025, which happened a lot in the showcase. After that, this was State of Decay 3, which I am surprised at how down I am on this, because I loved State of Decay 1 and 2 and came and joked to me. He texted me, he said, is there anyone that cares about State of Decay other than you? And I'm sure there are a lot of people that care about State of Decay, but this is a game we've not seen in a couple years. And now, still to this day, we have only seen cinematic trailers for State of Decay 3. No date, nothing. Just here's another cinematic trailer about State of Decay 3. And it's like, I'm glad that we heard something, because there have been reports that like maybe this game was in serious trouble recently. But like, no gameplay, no date. I'm kind of like, what's the point? Because we've already seen this at this point. Like, we've already seen a cinematic trailer. We know what State of Decay 3 is. Like, at this point, we understand the vibe. We understand the point. If you're not showing us what the game looks like for a game that you've already shown us what the game doesn't look like, why are you showing it to us? Does that make sense? Like, do you guys agree with me at all on that?
Yeah, no. And I feel like we got a lot of that in this showcase, where we did get a lot of hits. Like, this showcase to me felt like we got a lot of Xbox greatest hits over the last 2 years. The difference is this time around we're getting actual release dates. Some actual release dates, but it was a lot of greatest hits from them of like, hey, now don't get me wrong, there's like some sprinkled in third-party games that like I actually got really hyped for.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like from like the big bag of tricks that they have, a lot of it was just like, hey, look, it's this long dormant prop IP we had that you never thought we'd do because all of the games suck in them.
No,
or not all of the games.
They just don't have a lot of players. They're fucking great games.
So State of Decay is a weird one, right? I've got other issues. State of Decay is a weird one where I feel like that's one that like Xbox never talks about, but they just release. You get a random one every 5 years.
Yeah, the first one was 13, second one was 18. And I feel like I think it was 2. They got like one of the E3 showcases back then, they got like a big showing of it, and then we just didn't hear about it anymore. It must just not get a big enough fan base to really bring enough of a message from Xbox on it. But I mean, they're still making them, so it must do well enough, I would think. But yeah, I don't know. It's just such a weird one. And then right after this, to re-reveal Dragon Age, formerly known as Dreadwolf, now called the Veilguard. I was genuinely concerned at this point in the showcase. Because Veilguard, I don't know if you guys agree, but I thought that looked bad.
Shit.
I actually I was down in some hibachi, so I didn't actually get to watch it yet. I just saw that they
it could have been called Dragon Age of Thieves.
It doesn't
the art style look just like Sea of Thieves.
It feels to me, and like we've not seen this game in a while, but this feels like a completely different Dragon Age to me than what they've shown of Dreadwolf so far. Like, it doesn't.
Have they shown Dreadwolf at all? I thought that all I had was like one of those like, no, here it's like a CGI.
But it was like
we've had a little bit of a cinematic.
It looked
trailer
looked realistic. This looks super cartoonish, which is like a drastic change from all of the other Dragon Age games. I distinctly remember when Inquisition came out being absolutely blown away by the fact that there was like the eyes looked human. Mm-hmm. It was like one of the first games where like, wow, like you can look like
Inquisition still holds up, honestly. Like the graphics.
Yeah. So what the fuck?
Well, and
is this
because so Dreadwolf? I mean, this is spoilers for Dragon Age Inquisition to a degree. One of the characters in Dragon Age Inquisition was going to be like kind of the big bad of Dreadwolf, and that character, nowhere to be found in the Veilguard, and like that character is the Dreadwolf, and I'm like, okay, so then what? I don't understand. Like, is this like a new separate thing? Is this still?
I've actually heard a little bit about it.
Oh yeah,
I can't
let me know
remember if it was on KF or what it was, but so essentially they, BioWare themselves came out a few days ago, which is I kind of want to talk about this whole issue with you guys as well, but just it seemed like a whole lot of people leading up to SGF, the companies themselves, aside from leaks, aside from hackers, whatever, people are just coming out of the woodwork to like announce what was going to be announced or announce what was about to be shown in like 3 days. And this was one of them where the BioWare socials themselves came out on maybe Wednesday or Thursday and said like, we are now calling it Dragon Age the Veilguard instead of Dreadwolf, blah, blah, and look forward to the full gameplay reveal on June 11th, I think they said. So it's like after all the SGF stuff is kind of wrapped up and maybe it's on Tuesday. But somewhere, I don't know if it was like a blog post or if it was an article that I didn't bother to read. But essentially what they were saying was that like, yes, the Dreadwolf is still like part of this game.
Yeah.
But they decided that since the Dreadwolf is like the antagonist and like they really wanted to make the game itself is kind of focused on your party and the bonds between the you and your party members, that they wanted to shift the focus of the name to be on that, since that's kind of the point of the game, even though like, yes, the main antagonist is still the Dreadwolf, like that the focus should be on the players' relationships with their members as they go on to confront the Dreadwolf. So
yeah, that's fair.
Take that how you will, but that's what I've heard about the shift.
That's helpful, I think. I mean, it definitely makes more sense. I do still think it's a shit name though. Like Dragon Age the Veilguard does not feel good. Like Dragon Age Dreadwolf is such a better, to go back to it, has a better mouthfeel. If it was just Dragon Age Veilguard, I think that would also be better. But what is this, the Veilguard?
Drop the, it's cleaner.
Drop the. Can we please drop the?
Yeah, but like, what was your all's take on that? Because it almost felt like all these companies were taking the wind out of the sails. Like, because as you mentioned at the top, like one of the big draws of E3 was that you never quite knew what was going to come until you were there, or until you saw the articles or saw the reaction videos, whatever. But like, so many things, that the Veilguard thing, it was I'm sorry, I'm struggling to think of the exact. There's at least 2 or 3 other things I can think of being out there that were like, hey, guess what? We're going to show it. Black Ops 6. That was one of them.
Black Ops 6 was one of them.
They teased the logo, and then like 3 weeks later, they're like, guess what? It is Black Ops 6. You guys were right.
Yeah.
And then it was like, here's a trailer for Black Ops 6. When we're going to show you some more stuff in a week. And it's like, why are they shooting themselves in the foot with the hype?
I totally agree. I think if they hadn't, if people like Dragon Age, even though I think the trailer looked shit, I think if I didn't know it was coming, I still would have popped off for it. And then the one more thing at the end, if I didn't know that was coming, I would have popped off. Even though I don't necessarily care about the franchise, I think I would have had it like a 9 out of 10 experience watching this showcase if I didn't know about like 5 different things that were going to be shown in this showcase. My only kind of saving grace for that is that most of the things we knew about ahead of time were in the first like third of the showcase. So at least once we got to like South of Midnight, Metal Gear Solid, it was like, I feel like that was when there was a very long gap until, oh, okay, cool. Now, well, actually that's not true, because Perfect Dark, there were leaks about Perfect Dark, which I guess is different than what you're saying, Jordan, because those were full announcements. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because even aside from all the unfortunate leaks and hacks that keep happening all the time, like the companies,
when they come out, they're like,
whether it's Xbox or BioWare or whoever else, you're like, oh guys, guess what? In 2 days, we're going to show you something. It's like, why not just wait? Like that, I feel like that kills the hype. If you already know, like you're less likely, at least speaking for somebody like me, if I know that the thing that I actually cared about seeing, A, is happening, and B, has an exact date and time of when they're going to show it, why would I bother watching other stuff in anticipation of it when I can just wait until 11 a.m. or whatever it is on the specific date and just watch the one thing I want?
Yeah.
Instead of,
I hope this does not become a trend, for sure.
Yeah. Because Nintendo, again, you can say what you want about weird Nintendo decisions, the WNDs, as KF puts it, but like, they at least keep their crap under wraps. Like, we have no idea, aside from month of June, we have no idea what they're going to be showing us for the back half of this year.
There's
from Metroid Prime 4.
There's right. That's definitely that's definitely coming. That's definitely something that's really happening right now over in the Nintendo world. Here's the thing though, with this showcase, there was a lot of insider like games journos who are like, we have incredibly credible, like we have incredible and credible reports from people who are like inside that there's XYZ that will be coming up. People will see this at this.
Yeah.
And then not there. Now we know there's no way that they put this entire showcase together and then just like chop shit out last minute. Like it has to be submitted to there has to be submissions and things of that nature. And I think that's probably where a lot of these leaks are coming from, is things like that. But there were some interesting reports of things that we were going to see that did not show up.
Can you remind me of
the big one was, and this came from a few different outlets. I know Tom Warren from The Verge. I want to say Jeff Grubbs from VGC. It's just a
Giant Bomb.
Giant Bomb. There's like multiple like, very like highly touted journalists that were like, Xbox will be releasing an Xbox handheld.
Oh, the handheld, yes. Yeah, you're right.
This will be at the showcase. This will be there. And then they're now being like, I'm just as shocked as you are that this didn't show up, but apparently we have an all digital Xbox Series X. So like maybe, and so the reason I say is like maybe we should pump the brakes a little bit. There might be some sort of Xbox something that comes out probably closer to August, September. That will, but like, that they're going to start announcing some of these things. Because the truth is, I've got this list down here of like, here are the games that are supposed to come out this year: Avowed, Indiana Jones, Stalker 2, Flight Simulator. Those are first party exclusive to Xbox. These 4 games. We have a release date for one of those games.
And I would expect 2 of those other 3 at least to not come this year, but continue.
So, well, I'm really hoping Flight Simulator shows up, since it's literally called Flight Simulator 24. It'd be really fucking weird if it showed up in 25.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
So I'm expecting, we didn't get a release date from my understanding. I
think we did. Yeah,
we did. Okay.
Let's see. Let me double check.
Don't fucking say we did and then say you think afterwards. Tell me the truth, Jordan.
No, we did.
We did?
Just give me a second. Just give me a second.
When you turn around and say, JK, I'm going to jump through this goddamn screen.
Yeah, this isn't the JK Games podcast, Jordan. All right.
Sorry. I get myself confused.
Someone over here.
It says arrives in November 12th. Yeah.
Okay, so we did. Thank you, Jordan. We did. So we got 2, which honestly, to all the people out there that are like, I'm so excited to fly a plane into the Twin Towers, I'm very happy for you.
Jesus.
But for every other human being, which is like 99.999% of the population, we don't give a flying fuck about Flight Simulator.
Flying?
We really don't care about being able to run adverts on Daytona Beach in a biplane.
This is true. I certainly don't.
Tell that to the critical reception, though.
And you can say, well, Cayman, what about Sony being a Sony pony? I don't give a fuck about Gran Turismo. Get that shit out of here, dog shit game.
So, Cayman, let me just get this straight. Are you telling me that you're not going to answer the call for Flight Simulator?
I'm getting that tattooed on me. Answer the call, Flight Simulator 24, tattooed on my bicep.
Good.
Okay, so if we remove Flight Simulator, because let's be honest, the population that will actually play Flight Simulator is it's not the same, right, as Stalker 2, which you have a release date, September. Do I think it's coming out in September? I really hope so, because I have it on my Fantasy Critic. Also, one of my game's predictions was it would win Game of the Year. Be the first Xbox game to win Game of the Year ever, I think, actually. It'd be the first one nominated since, I think, Halo 3?
Something like that. I forget exactly.
Long, right?
It's been a long time.
But the 2 other big games, Avowed, which we saw a gameplay trailer for, and Indiana Jones, which we saw a lot of cinematics for, and we talked about this. Like, we don't have a release date for either of these. So what I'm thinking is we are going to get another Xbox showcase
Sure.
sometime, probably it has to be August. There's no way that they do it in September just to say it's going to release in 2 months. Like, they need more time.
And
I don't think Indiana Jones, they say on the thing, they said 2024. I'm with you on that one, Patrick. I really don't think that's coming. I think there's a better chance Avowed does show up.
Yeah.
Which also another reason why I think Avowed and not Indiana Jones, they shut down Xbox's merch page just to re-release the merch page with an Avowed t-shirt. But no
Big.
Indiana Jones merch.
A lot of people wondering when the Avowed t-shirt's coming.
Honestly, I would wear it.
That's all I've been seeing, all the chatter.
A lot of buzz.
It's a dope looking shirt. What I'm saying is like, where's the Indiana Jones shit in your merch if you're not planning on like capitalizing on the sales for it? So I think realistically, Xbox still drops 2 major contenders this year, being Avowed and Stalker, which if that drops Indiana Jones to next year, then Xbox lines up with at least 3 games we know would drop in 2025. The rest of the games all have no release dates, and that's pretty much all of the big Xbox games. They're kind of, we've got staggered tiers, right?
Sure. But you know what is coming this year, Cayman?
Metroid
Starfield
Prime,
Shattered Space.
Starfield Shattered Space.
That was the next thing in the showcase that they showed. And here's what I'll say. The trailer for Starfield Shattered Space didn't do a ton for me, because I think on this panel I was the most into Starfield, and even I was like, it's good. I did play a lot of it, but it wasn't anywhere near Game of the Year. Obviously, we've talked about it. We don't have to rehash it. But the DLC seems to be going into like the weird culty like snake religion thing, which does interest me.
I actually am excited. I want to boot it back up.
Yeah, the Shattered Space has I wish we got a date. I'm surprised we didn't get a date, but
that was weird.
It looked better than I was expecting it to, and I'm surprised that Starfield has something on the horizon for me that I'm interested in trying out.
So okay, question.
Yeah.
So this is one, and this is also another one. Where's the fucking release date for this?
Yeah, this one was particularly odd for me that we didn't get a date.
So this, like, there's more reason for me to believe we're going to get another Xbox showcase this year that's specifically just for, here are the release dates.
Yeah, I wonder. It's so odd though, because the only other kind of showcase that they do is the developer_direct, and we've already had a developer_direct on all 3 of these games before. Not to say that you couldn't do it again, but like I feel
there's no way they're just going to drop a presser to be like Avowed comes out, November 10th.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
There's no way.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, and here's the other big one. This is another report that's been coming out from a lot of people, including Tom Warren and another big Xbox specific person. Allegedly, rumor on the street is that Starfield is going to go cross-platform when the DLC drops. Which makes sense. They have to, like, because here's the issue that I have with all of this. All of these games get day one Game Pass. All of these games budget easily $150 to $250 million.
Oh yeah, easy
for all of the games we've talked about. They're gonna have, like, I'm sorry, there's
got to make it back.
There's a bunch of Game Pass subscribers, so at least either you are going to increase the cost and piss off your fan base that way, or you release cross-platform, piss your fan base that way, but at least you're making more money.
Yeah.
And probably not losing subscribers to Game Pass. So that being said, I do wonder if the reason we don't have a release date specifically for Shattered Space is because they're going to announce that it's coming cross-platform when they drop that release date.
Could be.
And they did not want to get a big fucking in the jaw during this big moment of like, we had a really good showcase,
Yeah, no, you could be right there.
I mean, it's kind of like how you mentioned earlier that like during the showcase, they of course didn't mention Doom Dark Ages being PS4 and PS5 or whichever one it is. That was just like in the presser afterward.
It was in the presser.
So like, that would make a lot of sense that if they were going to be doing that, like the rumor is, then they wouldn't announce it now.
Which, like, for credit where credit's due, when it comes to this, like with Doom, I think most people assumed Doom was going to continue to be cross-platform, right?
Yeah.
Of the games announced, like that they had, like Doom Dark Ages coming to PlayStation. What was it? There was another game that's coming to PlayStation. Call of Duty 6 coming to PlayStation. And there's another game I can't remember is also coming to PlayStation.
Is Stalker 2 is not coming to PlayStation? Is
Stalker 2 is not, and I don't know if it will, but there's rumors about a bunch of these coming cross-platform as well. But there's multiple games that were announced that are also like Expedition 33, which we'll talk about, Atomfall. These are all third-party games that they showed coming to PlayStation. I checked those off. There was another one.
I wonder if South of Midnight. PlayStation.
The Sea of Thieves DLC is coming to PlayStation. Fallout 76 DLC is coming to PlayStation. So there's a bunch of stuff that's coming to PlayStation as well. Obviously, no like massive games outside of Call of Duty or Black Ops 6 and Doom, but
South of Midnight not coming to PlayStation. That is an Xbox exclusive.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Fallout, you mentioned, so after Starfield Shattered Space was a new Fallout expansion called Skyline Valley. It's bringing in a new Vault 63, and you get to play as a ghoul next year in 2025. And that Skyline Valley comes June 12th, the ghoul next year. After that, one of the standouts for me, I certainly popped on this one, Expedition 33 coming 2025. Cool. Voiced by one Ben Starr. That was one of two times that he showed up in this showcase. But this game looks really fucking cool. They're like 3D action, certainly like a fantasy vibe. But the graphics were like completely stunning, and I very much want to see more of this game. Kind of giving me a 2026 vibe, if I'm being honest. But a 2026 vibe.
Oh my God.
Even though they say 2025, I don't know that this is a 2025.
I was like, what game is 2026? I never played that one. What is that? No,
that's
the
funny,
year.
Did you notice that? So it's being made. The studio that's doing. I looked this up. I forgot what the name of the studio is, but they're doing it alongside Kepler Interactive, which popped up multiple times in the showcase.
They must be like an Xbox support studio, maybe.
I don't. Well, these games are coming to PlayStation 5, both of the games. So Flintlock, which we'll talk about in a bit, and Expedition 33 are both Kepler Interactive.
Okay, so Kepler also did Pacific Drive, Chia, and Scorn.
Okay,
I'm seeing
interesting.
And Sifu.
Sifu. Wow.
Well, Sifu was mainly developed by Absolver, or was Absolver their other game? Let me see. Hold on.
Absolver was
Kepler is a publisher, not a dev.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Slow Clap is the game. They also did Absolver, which was their other game. Thank you. On the Expedition trailer also says that it's the debut title from Sandfall Interactive. So that must be the studio, and Kepler's, like you said, the publisher. But this game looks really cool. I hope we see more of it. Visually, it just looked so impressive that I feel like this is a little further out maybe than we think.
Sure.
After that, this was certainly one of my standouts from the showcase, South of Midnight. We got to see gameplay finally. My only issue with this so far, because South of Midnight was my standout from last year's Summer Game Fest Xbox showcase from Xbox. I think the style is awesome. Is it just me, or is the cinematic quality of this giving like 7 frames per second?
Okay. Here's the thing. It's actually, I was looking into this. It does the Spider-Verse, where it's reduced frame rates to give it the look of like a stop motion.
Okay.
So which I love. I think that's a really cool concept, and I think it also plays very well to the Series S, which notoriously can't run higher than 25 frames per second. So you can play South of Midnight there. Also, the one downside is PC people are gonna have a real rough time. They're gonna be vomiting.
Yeah, they're gonna be bleeding from their eyes.
Not high enough.
Yeah.
Not high enough for me.
If it's at 100 frames per second, I'm gonna vomit.
It's not 250 frames per second. I can't see straight.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really crossed up.
We finally saw some gameplay. So it's third-person action. Looks like up my wheelhouse. Up everyone on this panel's wheelhouse.
Up your wheelhouse.
You better believe it. It also has this cool visual thing going on where it seemed like, one of the enemies that you defeat in the trailer, or that she defeats in the trailer, she unravels them, and then once they're unraveled, like the fauna and like nature around her is like healed. So I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if it's going to be like we're restoring the bayou or something. I don't know, but I'm all in on
I
South
have
of
one
Midnight.
fear
Yeah,
that this is gonna have Souls-like mechanics.
God, I hope not.
I mean, okay, think about it. Sony had one which is now on Xbox, if I'm not mistaken, which I think you get on Game Pass, maybe. What was that game that came out that was
Long?
No, it was the indie game where you played the girl and she had a staff and she would
Oh,
run
Kena.
around. Kena. It's now on Xbox.
Yeah.
You can now pick it. I want to say on Game Pass. I might be wrong.
It's coming out in August, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's coming out.
Yeah.
Which was like, I love this idea, and I went to play it, and I was like, oh, this is a fucking Souls-like.
That
kind of was that game.
Can't have nice things anymore.
No,
kind of like there are some. I'm sorry, this is kind of a tangent, but there are so many overlaps between Kena and Zhao as far as like all the art style is beautiful, the combat wildly unbalanced.
Yeah.
The story and themes beautiful, but the combat wildly unbalanced.
Yeah.
Which makes you hope like that we'll have the inverse with Kena, that like when it goes to Xbox, those issues are fixed.
I doubt it. It looks like a port to me.
Because a lot of I mean, a lot of the stuff that's been ported over, like Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves, all this stuff that's been ported over to PlayStation, everyone's been like the Xbox tax. When the truth is, they're just patched and better versions of the game that launched. So when it comes over, it's not like that you're getting a better score. It's just because the game's better from a technical standpoint.
I do think though with Kena that the issue was like design wise, like the combat's design. A lot of people had issues with.
Sure.
But
like the when you knock it down from normal to like easy or whatever, it's not like it's like, oh, they take 2 hits to kill instead of 1. It was like you look at them weird and they like die. It was like even the difficulty was wildly unbalanced.
Yeah, that's weird.
It was odd.
But I really hope that South of Midnight doesn't have Souls-like combat, because more so I was getting like Infamous looking combat to me. Not as like traversally as Infamous, but like the melee combat of Infamous. I was kind of getting that vibe here, but we'll see. After that, another game in swamps, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, and this one shockingly looked pretty good, like a lot better than it's looked in the past. I was like, for a minute there, I was like, ooh, maybe I'm not fucked here, and then the date was not shown. Not even a year. It is nothing. Just Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, whatever the fuck. So this game, while it does look a lot better than it did previously, still no date. So who's to say?
I just looked it up to see like if maybe there was a presser afterwards, and IGN just says looks so much better.
Yeah,
but the devs refused to give us a date, which makes me definitely think it ain't coming.
Not this year for sure. After that, Ben Starr's second outing with Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, which is coming in July. That game I was excited about until it said Souls Light, but it was a light, not a like. So maybe that, maybe it's not as difficult, but we'll see. After that, we got Perfect Dark, which we talked a little bit about earlier. Finally seeing some gameplay. It says no dates. So I bet 2026 at the earliest.
Yeah, honestly, I want to probably lean towards a 2026. This is one of those games too that I think like legitimately looked graphically, technically speaking, like looked good. Looked like what I would think an Xbox Series X could do, right? My one concern is it looked a bit redundant in terms of like what it is. Look, the last Perfect Dark game, Perfect Dark Zero, was absolute dog shit. It killed a franchise. So bringing it back, and this has, what is it, The Initiate? So it's a new studio, but technically it's propped up by a bunch of industry veterans alongside help from Crystal Dynamics. Yeah. Which is the weirder one to me, is like Crystal Dynamics working on an FPS. I'm not necessarily sure like where that plays in, but for what it looks like I'd play it. This looked cool enough.
Yeah.
You know, I
It
guess
didn't
we'll
do
see
anything
more.
for me, but I'm a first person shooter has to really bring something different to the table to really grab my attention. Like it needs
For
to
sure.
be like BioShock adjacent, like that kind of a first person game, or it needs to have like some new interesting mechanic. Because to me, it just looks like a Killzone, like you said earlier, Killzone Shadowfall. It looks like nothing about Perfect Dark made me walk away and go, ooh, I got to try that. But that's just, that's a Patrick thing. I think objectively it looked good. It's just not my style.
For sure.
After that, I just want to quickly touch upon Winter Burrow coming early 2025. He plays a little mouse. There was a line in the trailer, I will make the tree stump a cozy home again. No matter how hard it takes, I will fight. I was ready to flip a fucking table for this mouse. I'm going to fucking fight, boys. Really excited about that. And then after that, another standout from the show for me, Mixtape coming 2025.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah.
Another like stop motion looking situation. Set to the soundtrack of a generation, they said. Like, what a line. But
okay, so we're talking Linkin Park, we're talking
they do like Joy Division, like that era of music.
When are we gonna get to that point where our childhood theme songs, like Hybrid Theory, the Linkin Park album, becomes a big
the voice
theme?
of a generation?
Because let me tell you, I'm one step closer to the edge, and I'm about to break.
I can tell, brother.
What about Creed? Where's the Creed generational soundtrack?
Now just heard.
Where that's what if you asked the hard hitting question.
6 feet from the edge, and I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't know that that's ever going to be the soundtrack of a generation, unfortunately.
This is my
but
generation.
Mixtape, go check it out because
that
looks so fucking good. After that, Square Enix.
Day one Game Pass. That was one of the day one,
Mm-hmm.
but this was the only one that was a third-party day one Game Pass game of everything they showed.
Oh, interesting.
And this one is also coming to PlayStation as well.
Cool. Square Enix showed a new Life is Strange game, Double Exposure. It's like a murder mystery across 2 timelines, they said. Coming October 29th. So we actually got a date for that one.
It's bringing back the original protagonist from Life is Strange,
which
is really great, carrying the story along. I really like that.
Yeah, this one looked really good, and I'm glad that we actually got a date for it. Because the next few things we did not get dates for. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, just 2024. We've already talked about that. Same thing with Avowed, just 2024. Avowed, to me, I will say quickly, this game actually did look worse today than it did at the developer direct to me. And I was
interesting.
I that was kind of the standout of the last developer _ direct. But this, for whatever reason, Avowed today didn't move the needle at all for me. It didn't move it the other way. Like, it didn't make me less excited. I was just surprised that it didn't, and maybe it's because there was no date. Like, maybe that just blew the wind out of the sails. But I feel like I've seen enough of this game. I'm just ready to fucking play it
for sure.
Now I need you to read for the next entry. I need you to read your notes verbatim for it, Patrick.
All right. What I wrote was everybody's gone to the Rapture looking ass, Fallout in England looking ass. Atomfall is coming 2025.
I want to play this game.
I'm interested in seeing more Game Pass day one.
Yeah.
It looked fucking cool. Like
okay, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was wrong based on my math was wrong. Based on what, and I pulled those numbers from Xbox UK's Twitter account.
Okay.
So maybe their math was wrong. Atomfall, not an exclusive, coming to PlayStation as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Created by Rebellion, the makers of the much-loved Sniper Elite and Zombie Army franchises. Everybody talking about Sniper Elite and Zombie Army.
Actually, you know what? You can shoot a dude's testicles off in Sniper Elite.
Which you've never been able to do before, according to Call of Duty.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, that one did look cool to me. But now that I see that it's those folks, I will be honest, I'm a little less interested because those games have never clicked for me. But maybe this is the one that does. I will certainly keep my eye on that. And then just a few more left from this showcase. We got our first gameplay look at Assassin's Creed Shadows, and we're going to get a full deep dive tomorrow at the Ubisoft Forward. It looked great to me.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but very much cannot wait to play this game and can't wait to see what Ubisoft shows us tomorrow at Ubisoft Forward. And then we saw Stalker 2. We got that release date of September 5th, which I think, if it is delayed, I wouldn't expect it to get delayed past November. I do think that this will definitely come this year, but I am interested in Stalker. I guess maybe it just like never got on my radar for whatever reason, but like the supernatural vibe, this is the kind of thing where, it is a first person shooter, but there's something about it that is drawing me in and makes me want to maybe go back and play the first Stalker. Did you play the original, Caitlin?
Yes, actually I did back in the day. Funnily enough, for anyone who's interested, and this might be incorrect data by the time you see this or hear this. However, it is the original Stalker games, and there's 2 of them. There's like expansion, the gaming and expansion, are on State of Play sale right now. The big sale.
Oh, cool.
For like dirt fucking cheap. So
Cool.
if you want to see what the original games were, and I can't tell you how dated they will be, but you can get them from cheap. It's
Cool.
essentially like, imagine, the best way I could explain Stalker to someone would be like, just imagine Metro, like the Metro games. Imagine like that, but way more grounded feeling.
Okay.
It is like a sim where like hits hurt, ammo you have to count. You need to be like very much buttoned up, like exploring the zone. It's based off an old 70s horror film as well, which if you haven't seen that, Angerez talks.
Yep. It's exactly right.
I can never get this dude's name right, but if you
Flawless
want,
pronunciation.
Stalker is like a legitimately like terrifying movie.
Cool.
From this
I had no idea.
Definitely go check that out as well. But this, like I said, I picked this for my predictions would be game of the year. So we'll see. But I feel like it's coming this year.
Yeah, I definitely think it's coming this year. I wasn't getting game of the year vibes, but that also could just be my FPS bias. Because I'm just a biased little bad boy.
I think the 2 games right now that I would say like have the best odds are going to be Dragon's Dogma 2 and Stalker 2. By the way, I don't know where did we end up landing? Is this before or after Wu Chang?
This was after Wu Chang Fallen Feather. So PlayStation.
It's for the children.
Oh no, PlayStation's getting Wu Chang as well.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
That's funny.
Yes. And this brings up the other point of the fact that like we're hitting like max load of feudal Asia set games. Wukong, Wu Chang. There was another one that
Tell
came
me
out.
about your max load, Cayman.
I'll tell you, brother. What was the one that came out earlier this year that was Xbox?
Rise of the Ronin?
No. That was last year. Xbox.
Wolong? Fallen Dynasty?
Yeah.
Wolong. We have a Wolong, Wukong, and Wo Chang.
Oh no.
Fucking drive me off the bridge. I can't do it anymore.
Oh no. Well, after Stalker
and that is
after
three references to Suicide by Cayman today. I think I got a punch card somewhere. I can get a free Slurpee.
Free Cayman killing himself. Yeah, you can.
A free Cayman Slurpee. Yeah.
I'm doing it in Flight Simulator 24.
Free Cayman Slurpee with his full load.
I'm answering
max
call.
load.
Sorry, max load. I apologize.
We did also get a digital Xbox Series X announcement, and apparently they're doing some new colors.
It was not a cylinder. So that's kind of a disappointment.
Was it supposed to be?
I think it was during the ABK hearings and stuff. Like that was like one of the early prototypes for for the digital. It was like kind of like cylindrical.
I see.
That'd be cool. Big old tube, just a big tube.
Shove it up Cayman's ass.
The X tube. Oh my god.
Maybe that's what they're worried about. Too many dudes would shove it up their ass.
Probably.
I fell on it. It's
yeah. I don't even know how it happened. It just like was on the floor and I wasn't wearing pants.
Already lubed up. That was weird.
Ended the showcase. One more thing. Sarah Bond came.
Hold on. I don't think we talked about Fable.
Oh fuck! We totally skipped over Fable. You are right. I did not mean to skip over Fable. But we did. Fable looks fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I was so impressed with Fable. We got a little bit of gameplay. little bit of gameplay came in. And
I
it looked
wonder.
really good.
I am curious how much of it was actual gameplay.
Oh, sure. Or if it was just like a cinematic giving gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there was a point when they're walking through the town. I was like, that is gameplay. And then there was a moment where there was combat, and I was like, this could either be gameplay, and if it is, fantastic, or it could be just the way it was staged felt almost like it was like that maybe they had pulled to do like, like a vertical slice thing. I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
Know?
They say
Cool.
2025. I can't remember if the original Fable trailer gave 2025, but coming next year.
I don't think the original trailer had a date, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that sounds right. But yeah, this looked great. I'm super excited for Fable. And then now that I didn't forget one of the biggest announcements of the show, they ended the show with Gears, not 6, Gears E-Day. This is going to be a prequel. They brought back the Mad World motif, which was fucking great in the trailer. Here's the thing. This is a safe space, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I just don't give a fuck about Gears.
There's a reason.
I think aesthetically it is so unpleasant. I think it's such an ugly franchise, and I want to like it. I've played 1 and 2. I played some of 5, but I didn't finish 5. I don't think I might have played 3. I definitely didn't play 4. A prequel does get me more interested than just 6, Gears 6, but there's something about Gears that has just never really interested me. Are either of you the same?
Okay, so a couple things here. One, Gears is a product of its time.
Sure.
And that's why I think maybe we're not as I'm personally not super hyped for this reveal where I think some people would be. I loved Gears. I loved Gears 1, 2, and 3. And then it was I don't know. We kind of left. It was I stopped listening to Linkin Park. You know what I mean? Your brain, I think, develops to a point where the ultra violence and all the edgy shit that was in it I think it just doesn't hit the same anymore. It's where I see, and this is what I worry about, is we couldn't have gotten God of War, the remake, couldn't have been God of War 4. It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been another one where we have an angry guy running around, fucking women, and ripping things in half. It doesn't exist. We don't have a space for that right now.
We had a sad guy ripping some stuff in half,
right?
But it was subdued,
right,
and more mature.
Yep.
Yes, and it aged with us.
Yes.
My worry, even off this trailer for Gears E-Day, which terrible name,
not a good name.
Gears 0, that would have been fine with that. Probably still wouldn't have been great, but better than E-Day. My problem is watching that. How about trailer,
the E-Day with it?
Watching that trailer, I'm yep, we blew a head off. We are still stuck in 2000.
That's a really good point, Cam.
And I would love to see but I don't think you can go back in time and have a nuanced take on characters after you've watched them just be gruff and shitty for 5 fucking games.
Sure.
You can't mature as an 18-year-old, right? You can't mature as you get younger. It doesn't make sense. And so I love Gears. That's I really do. But like I said, 4 and 5, I was yeah, man, this is coming. Its time has come and gone.
It ain't it.
I feel now.
Yeah. But if gameplay looks different to me, I feel if this game, step 1 for me would be give it a new color palette and just make it more visually aesthetically appealing to me.
We got to stick to grays and browns, man. That's all we got.
It's so boring. But I'm excited for the people that are excited about this. I know that Gears has a big fan base and people have been wanting more Gears. Yeah. And Xbox loves to not give people what they want. So I'm at least glad, where the fuck's Banjo-Kazooie? But I'm glad that that's at least happening. It's just not for me.
Yeah. So I never super got into it either. I think I dabbled in the first one, and I played a little bit of the fourth one on Game Pass, but I never stuck with either of them really.
So missing things that I know we touched on the Microsoft's handheld, which people are still saying it exists. Not sure why they didn't show it, but it's literally people have hands on it right now.
Yeah.
one thing that was missing, like two things that were missing. No Fallout remake or remaster,
Sure.
which has been long rumored. The other big one that was expected today was that alongside the announcement of Gears 6, which people were like, it's a prequel, but they might still call it Gear 6. It just depends. The other thing was, it was like, it's apparently been in development. Gears 1, 2, 3 remastered in a collection.
That's
Were
right.
going to be announced today alongside the announcement of the new Gears game. So there's a couple things that like didn't show up, which also makes me think still once again thinking that we still have another developer underscore direct that will be looming on the horizon where we do get to see some of the stuff.
Now Gears, I could see Gears being in a developer underscore direct, because especially if whatever the studio is called that makes Gears EA, if they have their hand in the remaster remake situation, that could be like all of that. They show Gears gameplay for the first time. They show some sort of a level in the game and talk about it, and they talk to other developers, and then they show that. Like, that would make sense to me for sure. I feel like they need something that's not the developer underscore direct, and that's also not a showcase. They need something more state of play, Nintendo Direct like from Xbox. But I don't know. The Pucky Squire, that's not an Xbox thing, right? That was a Nintendo thing.
It was Devolver. I think
okay.
One producing.
I was just looking through a list of games that don't have dates yet, and that one jumped out to me. But yeah, so that was the showcase. I feel like overall I would land at like a solid 8 out of 10 for this one.
I'd say so.
I think there was a lot of really good shit. We saw, like, if we hadn't seen South of Midnight, if we hadn't seen something like Life is Strange, like these kinds of, well, no, that's a known or a new quantity. Fable is the better example. I'm glad that we got to see these games again, and that we got some sort of an idea of when they're coming, and we got a few new things, both first party and third party. And the pacing I thought was really good. There were only a few kind of low points for me. If Ubisoft can match this, I feel like overall SGF will be a very positive experience. But if Ubisoft Forward lands more like SGF did, I think overall, my score for the week as a whole will drop pretty consistently or considerably rather. But where are you guys at on overall, kind of final thoughts to wrap up today's show?
Jordan.
Yeah, I think that we saw some good stuff. I do wish that we did have some more concrete like months or at least dates for some of these things. But I don't know, man. Like, again, the way that they paced out some of this stuff did it for me, as far as going into this knowing that I'm not going to hit with every single thing. But Lego Horizon looks cool. Neva, whatever it's called, looks amazing. And then just seeing how many things that Xbox have been having in their pocket for so long, and actually like finally getting confirmation and that they are in a proper showcase. I think 8's a fair score. I think that's
cool.
like it did it.
How about you, Dumpster Boy?
So I feel like people are gonna read this and be like, "Wow, you were way too critical," or like you did not enjoy this showcase, which is actually incorrect. I think this is honestly one of Xbox's best showcases since probably the 360 days. I don't think they've had a showcase that I felt like they knew what they were doing and the audience they were speaking to. Sure, I have some hangups, but truth is, I look at Sony's State of Play that was supposed to, I don't know what, rival SGF's notoriety, but that was trash.
Yeah, compared to what we've seen so far, even the SGF from Friday.
So so one, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck Sony's doing right now, but they are walking away from the summer showcases with their heads between their legs and really need to recalibrate going into 2025. That being said, I think Xbox had a bang up show. Yeah. I think, to your point, Patrick, they showed a bunch of games that we've wanted to see. They've showed a bunch of games from third-party developers that there's a lot of hits of the greatest hits. I think there's a larger question that's looming about how can Game Pass actually cover the cost of development for all of these games.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or the buyout cost, because that Xbox, when they do day one Game Pass for devs, for games we're exclusive, they're not paying them just for the cost of making it. They're paying profits as well.
Yeah.
So like, how can Game Pass? Because almost like all of these that were popping over like day one Game Pass. I'm gonna get literally printed on a shirt day one on Game Pass. So like, there's a larger question that I had there, but ultimately, I think going into the end of the year with presumably 3 solid games that might launch, I think there's a good chance that that Xbox takes 2024 as their year, and I think
so
the
too.
showcase is the first sign of that being true.
And
Yeah,
Cayman, you didn't know this, but your surgery was actually day one on Game Pass.
It was day one on Game. You could watch it live day one. On
Shadow drop. It was crazy.
Shadow of the Dumpster Boy. Yeah, I agree with you there, Cayman. I think unless Sony can surprise us with a Q4 something other than Astrobot, I think this is at this point Xbox's year to lose, which we've not said in a long time. So that's
the Xbox 360 probably.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, for real. But yeah, this, a very full show with lots of things. We will be back for Ubisoft Forward later this week. Jordan, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Where can the folks follow you at home?
Yeah, YouTube at Cognitive Clips, Threads, and Instagram as well. If you like game chats and video essays and all that fun stuff.
Hell yeah.
Come see me. Come at me.
Come at me. Come at him. Come at him. Somebody come at him. Cayman, how about you?
Yeah, you can find me at the Dumpster Boy on Twitter, where I will presumably be screaming into the void, asking for someone to make a day one on Game Pass t-shirt for me, because I don't know how to do that myself.
I might know a guy.
So, there's that. You can also find, I don't know. You can find me next week. I'm going to be starring on another podcast. Guest host. I'll save that announcement for next week. So just keep your eyes tuned for that episode.
Boom. Keep them. And then you can follow me at Patrick Schwag. You can follow the pod at Spot Games Pod on Twitter. Everywhere else at Spotlight Games Pod. That's Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you Tuesday right here, 8 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. So until then, get fucked.